Present its annual report on judicial functions and court performances. Now, the Inaugural Judiciary Day took place in November last year. This was a historical event as it was the first time the judiciary, as an arm of state, took the lead in accounting for its work. Now, in recent weeks, the judiciary has come under fire for allegedly being captured. And the judiciary is one of the three arms of state alongside the executive and parliament. They all function independently, as you know. Let's get the very latest. What can we expect today? Let me bring in the man in the know, SABC reporter, Manqoba Mchunu. Manqoba, thank you very much indeed for coming through. All right, so it's an important day for the judiciary, but not only the judiciary, it's important for South Africans to get a bit of an insight into the performance of the judiciary.
Well, of course, plain and importantly so for South Africans, because as South Africans we look up to the courts to be really the arbitrators in issues that we have, in issues of crime and also in issues of constitutional rights, and ensuring that our democracy is at all times respected. So the courts play a very pivotal role in a society in so far as doing their jobs to ensure law and order, but also to ensure that the constitution and the democracy of the country is upheld at all times. So therefore very important for the judiciary to be hosting this event, because it will really give us an in-depth look at just how the judiciary is performing, whether or not it's fulfilling that mandate or the expectations that people have of it to do. Of course, you'll know that the judiciary is an important arm of the state, and of course it's measured on several things as to whether or not it's performing. We look at, of course, at how whether the judges have met the requirements with regards to what's expected of them from the judiciary, and also hear whether they have been in line with the vision that has been set down for them. So it's really an important step in terms of accountability of the judiciary. Of course, accountability also being measured in certain ways. One of them will be to look at whether the judiciary itself is independent. Does it do its job without fear or favor? And secondly, also to look at whether it does its work in a qualitatively sound standard. That means basically looking at whether the judgments that are given are well reasoned, for example, and also look at the execution of how things are executed, looking at how long, for example, a case will take to go through the judicial system. We know, of course, that there has been complaints as so far as this is concerned, with some people saying that South African cases simply take too long to be resolved. We'll see in some instances criminal cases going over 2 years before you can get a final decision on them. But importantly so, also to look into whether the judgments themselves, are they being handed on time and so forth. If not, what are the reasons? Of course, there have been issues raised also with the Judicial Services Commission with this regard. So it's just going to look at the performance overall of South African courts and whether or not they are really fulfilling their mandate as expected by the public.
One of the issues that you mentioned is these allegations of some judges being captured. And I remember reading, I think it was an interview that News 24 had with the now retired Constitutional Justice Edwin Cameron, and he said that he will be, I guess, utterly shocked if any judges took any money in this regard, as alleged. So I guess the Chief Justice will want to underscore the independence and the transparency of the judiciary.
Indeed, plain, and importantly so, because the courts must be seen to be working without fear or favor. In fact, they must be trusted by the public to be doing so. And of course, there have been allegations that have emerged. We did hear some allegations coming out from the State Capture Commission as so far as the issue of the dairy feeder farm was concerned. We heard from the former MEC in the Free State, Mxolisi, making some serious allegations about the capture of some of the judges in the Free State. In fact, even alluding to the fact that that is the reason why some senior ANC officials go to the Free State to fight their court battles, because he says the judiciary there is captured. And it was serious allegations when they were made. Of course, at the time, the commission chair, who's also the deputy chief justice in the Constitutional Court, Deputy Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, saying that if there is evidence of that sort, it needs to be brought forward. But I think we've seen the judiciary coming out, especially the Chief Justice himself, coming promptly to respond to such allegations. We saw, I think it was last month, when those allegations again emerged. There was, you recall, Blaine, some messages on Twitter suggesting, in fact, there was a list that was circulated on Twitter suggesting or naming some of the judges that have been involved in judgments, of course, some of them including the Public Protector and the Public Enterprises Minister Pravin Gordhan, as well as the President. Some of the judges that have made judgments in those matters being fingered as having received fund from the CR17. And of course, those were serious allegations. We saw the Chief Justice moving with the haste to kind of, allay those, allegations and allay those fears that the judiciary is captured. In fact, saying that, the judiciary is not captured, and saying that it is doing its work without fear or favor. So I think that's one of the things that you'll have to address. Of course, he has done so on a number of occasions, but I think he has said before in the last press briefing that we attended that, there's been no evidence so far to suggest that, there's been no evidence that has been brought forward. He went as far, plain as to say that if anybody has evidence to that extent, they need to come forward. They need to give the specifics. They need to give the dates. They need to give when did this happen, how did this capture happen, and who was captured. How did this whole transaction go about? What is it? Why do you say that this person was captured? And even calling on the people that were making those allegations at the time to come out and saying that I dare you to come out and give us that information. So he's really assured the nation, in as so far as that is concerned, to say that the judiciary is uncaptured at this point, and that he believes that it's doing work without fear or favor. But he says, of course, that they will investigate if such evidence is brought. So that we do expect him to also highlight with regards to this matter.
Look, no doubt this is an important report, and we will be keeping a close eye on it. We will try to bring it to you live when it happens. Manqoba Mchunu, thank you very much indeed for your reporting. Okay.